What's up, guys? It's your boy GP with DeOrganized Media, bringing you another hot one with the guys. It is going to be an awesome episode with the BUIDL battle closing and coming to an end. Big shout out to the winner, Rosar of Blaze. This is a win for the whole ecosystem. Big props to my guy Rosar. He might be stopping in a little bit. Yeah, it's been an exciting week for the ecosystem with markets being green, bullish catalysts like Velar teasing its perp decks, along with many other things like the SBTC cap being raised or lifted and withdrawals being opened. So getting straight into it, let's I've got some bookmarks. Let's bring it up, guys. It's been an exciting week to say the least. So yeah, let's pull it up. I've got some stuff to share with you guys. Let me pull it up here. Make sure that it's like sized correctly real quick. And here we go right here with the very start right here. Congrats to Lord Rosar for winning the first inaugural BUIDL battle with Blaze. If you're interested in seeing what Blaze is capable of, you can watch this episode of DeOrganized Nightly. You can go, I might just pin this to my profile. You can go and check it out at GPSC_SDX. I've got some timestamps. Use cases, setting up a Signet wallet, exploring Signet wallet, showing off the power of Blaze, and the rest of the demo for the devs. So yeah, go check out that. Remember that DeOrganized Media is where it's at. So big shout out to Lord Rosar. Moving on, we got a chart that Crypto Landy. Big shout out to Crypto Landy. Got that little Hermetica badge there. Go follow Crypto Landy on X for Expert TA. And, he teaches TA on Tuesdays on DeOrganized. But this is the Bitcoin exchange reserve, all exchanges. This is, the price of Bitcoin versus the amount of Bitcoin on exchanges. And you can see it is just, it looks like it's further away than it's ever been, at least within this time frame on this chart. And, Crypto Landy likes to share this chart from time to time with the eyes. Pay attention. People, big players are accumulating and taking their Bitcoin off of exchanges, doing it the right way, put it into cold storage because they are bullish on Bitcoin. Getting right into it from the Leather wallet, they got a congrats going out to Rosar, the winner of the Stacks BUIDL battle competition. They also hosted Rosar. So go check out Leather. Follow Leather on X. The @ is LeatherBTC. Big shout out to my Leather ambassadors. Going into Zest protocol here, the DeFi lending market holds a combined 39 billion TVL. BTC is already a key collateral asset, and its role only grows as Bitcoin L2s expand. Zest is quickly becoming the go-to place to earn yield on BTC, already rivaling leading lending protocols. Lending markets are currently at the largest DeFi category in terms of TVL. Not surprising, as they're the key DeFi vertical for unlocking yield on stablecoins and tokens. Even many advanced DeFi strategies and vaults rely on lending apps in the background. So this kind of gets into like RWA, the market caps of all these different categories of assets and things within the space. But what is the role of BTC in DeFi? WBTC has served as a primary collateral on Ethereum, with other wrap tokens like CBBTC, SOLVBTC, and IBTC now playing a similar role. While most BTC is still on the Ethereum and other L1s, what does it mean for Stacks? There are 3K SBTC on Stacks today, but at this pace, it will lead all Bitcoin native and side system networks by BTC supply by the end of the year. With just 7K BTC, it'll rank number 7 among non-Bitcoin layers and BTC supply. More BTC capital equals more BTC DeFi activity. As a comparison, take the Base network, which has around 10K BTC. Morpho is the largest lending protocol on Base by TVL, sitting at 500 million. Yet only 500 BTC have been supplied on Morpho, just 5% of the total BTC in the Base ecosystem. What does that mean for Zest? Nearly 500 SBTC supplied in just 3 months. About 17% of all available SBTC now sits on Zest. To put it into perspective, at 10K SBTC total supply, that's 1,700 SBTC on Zest. Zest would have more BTC than leading lending apps on other chains. Yes, you heard it here. Go check out Zest Protocol. And come kick it in the Discord. I'm the new community manager over there, so come kick it and get some high frequency vibes. I'm working on some nice initiatives to have some fun in the Discord, So, moving on to stacking DAO. Stacking TVL just hit an new all time high with over 550 million STX stacked. The big question now: how much more can stacking DAO grow from here? More than might realize, and it has big implications for Stack DeFi. And they have a nice thread that you can go check out. Stacking DAO is partnered with DeOrganized, so definitely go follow Stacking DAO, and that is at Stacking DAO on X. And go read this thread. I'll go ahead and get into the first one. Out of 560 million STX stacked, Stacking DAO's liquid stacking solutions, STSTX and STSTX BTC, account for just 12% of the market. This means that almost 500 million STX are not usable as liquidity in the Stacks DeFi and are not contributing to the ecosystem TVL. Look at other ecosystems. Stacks liquid staking vertical has a lot of potential. Lido, Ethereum's leading LST, alone accounts for 27% of ETH staking. LST on Solana represents 10% of Sol staking. Key takeaways: while Sol Solo staking has lower barriers than Stacks, both have a similar percent of LST over total staked, meaning Stacks LST should have a higher share. If Stacking DAO grew to Lido's level, it would mean that 140 million STX deposited, almost 2x the current amount. It's clear that Stacking DAO's liquid staking services have significant growth potential, but that's not all. The recent Stacking DAO native pool is the only one in the ecosystem with a 0% fee, and currently it's only the fourth largest pool. So a lot of room to grow with Stacking DAO. No matter how much stacks you have, go over to Stacking DAO and you can stack for a liquid STSTX token that is earning you yield passively in several different ways, and staying liquid. It's still swappable within the ecosystem, so go check it out on Stacking DAO. Moving right into the news from the crypto savings expert breaking, Elon says Doge's goal of slashing 1 trillion in government spending is quite achievable. He has some young dudes in the Doge department going out there and figuring out how this excess spending is going on, and there has been some wild revelations to do with the government spending coming out of the Doge's, camp there. So big shout out to Elon and the Doge, making our government more efficient. Moving on from Bitcoin Magazine, just in, SEC announces dismissal of civil enforcement action against Bitcoin and crypto exchange Kraken. Okay, let's see that. All right. From Bitcoin News, new. GameStop announces pricing of their 1.3 billion private offering of 0% convertible senior notes due 2030. It's priced at $1,000 per note with a conversion rate of 33.4970 shares per note at 37.5% premium to GME's 29.85 stock price. Proceeds will be used to buy BTC. Earlier this week, they announced that they are going to get into the HODL game and start, working to accumulate some Bitcoin. And they will be closing down some of their stores, which makes sense. Everything we are living in the digital age. Everything is moving to a more digital format, so it makes sense. So, coming from Cointelegraph, breaking: over 400 South Korean officials reveal 9.8 million in crypto holdings, including BTC, ETH, XRP, and Doge. So it looks like all of the different countries are starting to get into the digital asset age and starting to accumulate assets. So it's not just the U.S. with the SBR. We've got more countries looking at getting into hodling Bitcoin and other assets. Update: BlackRock's European Bitcoin ETP launch marks a key step for BTC adoption in Europe, despite lower inflow expectations compared to the US. But still, this is a good start. Europe doesn't want to get left behind with, now we're seeing Korea. We already know that US, all these other countries are accumulating Bitcoin. So now Europe is getting into accumulating. Just in, JP Morgan predicts yield-bearing stablecoins could grow from 6% to 50% of the market, driving by rising demand for interest-bearing assets. We have an interest-bearing asset and it is Bitcoin backed in the Stacks ecosystem. It is USDH from Hermetica. So big shout out to Hermetica. You guys are crushing it. The only Bitcoin backed stable. So go over there, and you can also earn yield on your USDH on Hermetica by staking. So earn yield on your stables. I mean, what's not to love about that? Um, just in, Sam Bankman-Fried has been transferred to a federal transit facility in Oklahoma City after an unauthorized jailhouse interview with Tucker Carlson. So I saw this interview between Sam Bankman-Fried and Tucker Carlson. I guess it was on a jail phone. So he got in a little bit of trouble. He claimed that his sentencing was a mistake. Instead of FTX, he could have held 100 billion in assets against 15 bluff. Dude's a scammer. Whatever. You shouldn't have been on jail phone. Now you're in trouble. Even more trouble. But it's funny that he talked to Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson will talk to anybody. So real cool, man. Research. ELIZA OS system adoption is accelerating with market cap of related projects surpassing 20 billion. ELIZA's module AI agent framework is powering major Web3 integrations by enabling advanced reasoning, real-time data retrieval, and cross-chain capability. Big shout out to the AI BTC devs. They are working on some similar stuff with operating systems and stuff like that. So good, give AI BTC dev AI BTC. I gotta figure out the handle. I'll pull it up in a little bit. But big shout out to the Chads in the ecosystem. Alert: the total value of HLP fund dropped from 283 million to 190 million after the exploit and sits at 215 million at the time of writing. We're going to talk about this a little bit, and get into the DEX versus SEX argument a little bit, kind of dissect what's going on here with Hyperliquid and see what's going on there. Circle Intercontinental Exchange, ICE, parent of New York Stock Exchange, have signed a MOU to explore integrating USDC and USYC into ICE's trading, clearing, and data systems. Stablecoins hit 27.6 trillion in transfer volume in 2024, surpassing Visa and MasterCard. So the stablecoin market cap is higher than the Visa and MasterCard. Crazy stuff there. New Tether is the issuer of USDC. Is acquiring 30% stake in Italian media company BUIDL, which specializes in producing and distributing films, series, and podcasts. So, do we see a little bit of the big crypto acquiring media outlets? This is why, and what makes decentralized so special is that it's from the community, by the community, and for the community. We cut it straight. We give you base takes, give you awesome insight into what is being developed in the Bitcoin ecosystem via Stacks. So definitely follow Decentralized BTC on X. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Decentralized Media, and stay in the know with us. Maybe you might see a Decentralized Media movie down the street too. Just in, Dogecoin is up 13% this week and has officially passed Warner Bros. Discovery Inc. in market cap. Wow. Okay, and meme coin passing up Warner Bros., which they have been around for a very, very long time. So cool stuff to see there. New times on the horizon. New French state-owned bank BPI France launches 25 million fund for new French crypto tokens. So we'll see some, Wisconsin is launching their own stable. Don't know if they're going to be launching stables or what type of meme coin. Hopefully we don't see another, another Libra instance come out of France. So going into this, now a crypto whale has just purchased 51,209 ETH worth 103 million on Coinbase. Whales aping in. Is it alt season yet? Let's find out. And latest, Kazakhstan is planning to establish a national crypto bank to regulate all cryptocurrency transactions in the country. Lawmakers claim that 90% of crypto operations currently take place outside the legal framework. And then this is another thing going along with Hyperliquid. Gracie Chen, CEO of BitGet, criticized Hyperliquid's handling of the Jelly incident as immature and unethical. Warning: it may be on track to become FTX 2.0. And then, of course, big shout out to the Stacks developers. Go give Stacks devs a follow to stay in the know on what's being built. We've got SDX dev season continues. New hack opportunity. Hero Systems just launched March Hero Hack deadline April 1st at midnight EDT. View thread or Heroes pin post for more info. And you can follow Hero at Hero Systems. That is HIRO Systems to stay in the know about that. So yeah, I got the guys on. Let's bring the guys up and kind of get into it. I've got some awesome stuff to talk about with you guys. So yeah, let's talk about it, guys. We got Jack Ben Switch, and we also have our beloved Peace Love Music. We have a couple people probably going to join a little later. What's up, guys? How's your Thursday been?
What's up, man? What's up? I was just multitasking, typing out a message to this. I don't know how much, if you guys caught me, if I was just talking myself through my message while you brought me on live.
I don't think we got none of it.
I'm live.
I know the feeling.
Man, so good, big, huge congratulations to Rosar, man.
Honestly, the guy, we all knew, right? We all knew because we've been playing with this stuff for the last month plus. But
it's so well earned, you know.
Well earned. Huge stuff. There's going to be so many things that can be built off of what he's building too. That's going to be such a. There's a lot of work to go. You know, it's not mainnet ready yet.
No, it's not supposed to be. You know?
Right.
But here's the thing, huge shout out to Stacks for doing this in the first place. You know, that was a tremendous amount of work they put into it. It really, I'm very thankful that, they did that. I think that it helps demonstrate just because you don't get any more community than Rosar. Right. Rosar's the guy who unrugged Welsh, right? Like that's how most people know Rosar. And, so he's a ride or die for the community. And this is the quality of the people you have in this space. So, huge kudos to Stacks for putting it on. It's just awesome. That made my day.
Yeah, it really made my day too. Like, it feels like a win for the community, right? Like, it really does feel like this was a win for everybody. Rosar has been chipping away and really just like building the change, like Crypto Dude would say. And dude's a good dude, man. Like, he helps a lot of people in this ecosystem in more ways than we know behind the scenes, with some coding and stuff like that. So like, big ups to the dude. Just keep chipping. He just kept chipping away. I mean, he's a passion builder. You couldn't take his passion from him if you wanted. So
let's not forget what he's overcome in the last year.
Yeah, dude, his redemption arc is wild, dude. I was telling him, like, I'm gonna make a season of the GPSC, the comic. It's definitely gonna cover a little bit of Rosar, his story. Oh, what's up, Doc? How are we feeling, man?
Not great.
Man, you're still on the right side of the ground, and I'm glad to see your face. And then we also have Shiplet and Ace in the house, rocking the Bitcoin Cafe NFT. Dope, dude. Dope.
Good evening, guys.
Let's
go. Gentlemen.
It's such a good day to whenever you get all the bros together.
Do I look as rough as I feel, or is this okay?
No, man, you look good, man.
Look like Doc.
Then we're good. Then we're good. We're fucking good.
Let's go.
If this is okay, we're good.
Yeah, you look
walking around. You're okay.
Yeah, your color's good. You're up walking. Like, this is.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hobbling. It's not quite walking. I'm like old manning it. You know what I mean?
Me too, and I didn't have surgery.
Yeah, if we were seeing the floor in the background versus the ceiling, we might have other questions.
100%.
Get this, Doc. My nephew's going to spend the night for the first time. I was just bragging to Jack in Peace before the stream started. So my little nephew is going to be spending the night from home for the first time with his uncle and his papa tonight. So I'm real proud.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that'll be fun.
Yeah,
I spent a majority of my early 20s in that situation with 3-4 little kids, and cartoon Fridays, and pizza rolls and McCain smiles, and like anything I could just throw in the because I wasn't making I wasn't making food for me, let alone for kids.
Let me talk like a little bit on like how I asked. So Peace was in the Zest Protocol Discord today, and I asked him. I was like, "You got like so outside of what we do here, Peace? Like, what are your passions? I know you're a musician, so he got a little bit into that. He said I mess around a little bit with like music production and stuff like that, and he was like, "Oh yeah." And I had 7 kids, so it was like
actually I have something like 7 kids.
Yeah, exactly. That's how it is. So yeah, it's one of those things, man. Like I love how authentic all of us are. It comes naturally. Nothing has to be forced here. When we get together, we're just a bunch of guys just kicking it, talking, just going over the latest news. I kind of wanted to get into this conversation about Hyperliquid with you guys. Like, what do you think? So, like, I heard that there was a little speculation that there was some type of wallet from a bigger exchange involved in some of the short positions and stuff. What do you know about it, Jack?
So basically, the story is Hyperliquid. It's a perp dex for people who don't know. It's a perp dex built on Arbitrum, which is a layer 2 for Ethereum. And, someone opened up a massive short on this token called Jelly Jelly. That's a Solana token. I think it's like the co-founder of Venmo token or something, some nonsense like that. So it's like a $10 million market cap.
Microcap.
At this time, right? So 10 million. This guy opens like a $8 million short on it on Hyperliquid. Well, when he does that, this is what the screwed up part is. If you open a leveraged trade, you always have to have something called margin, right? So like you can't just take $100 and say, hey, I'm going to leverage this, to the tits, and without like keeping some margin on there in the event that you get liquidated, right? You have to be able to, like, you're borrowing money basically when you're leverage trade. So that trader, when he opened that short, he immediately removed his margin. So what that did is that put the Jelly Jelly position he had opened into the Hyperliquid liquidation vault. So now, if there's any sudden movements up high, this trade can get liquidated, and it's a massive trade. And so almost simultaneously with him removing that margin on DEXs, spot traders started buying Jelly Jelly on spot. So within about an hour, the market cap went from 10 million to about $50 million. So at this point, that leverage long, that leverage short, it's nearing liquidation, right? And so with that huge, like 400% increase on price, then I think it was Binance and OKX both announced that they were going to list Jelly Jelly on their exchanges. Well, what happens when Binance says it's going to list a token? What happens to that token?
Dude, it moves.
Right.
It moves.
So now it's up like 560%. So again, Hyperliquid being a perp dex, decentralized. This is where the controversy lies. So the 8 Hyperliquid validators delisted the token Jelly Jelly, and they settled the trade with people who had taken it for way under what the current cost per token was. And in retrospect, they even said, hey, look, any of our users who wasn't like this exploiter, they refunded them and everything. So that part's okay. But basically, if the Jelly Jelly price had gotten up to about 150 million market cap or so, it could have completely wiped out Hyperliquid altogether, right? This could have been a catastrophic just end of this project. And so immediately you had, people saying, "Oh, I thought this is supposed to be a decentralized exchange. This doesn't seem very decentralized." And like you showed in your news review, like the CEO of BitGet and stuff. What it looks like, y'all know who Zach XBT is.
Yeah.
He discovered, and I think it was Marty Party as well, that the wallet that funded that huge short was funded from Binance. Does that mean anything? I don't know. But if you look at, the short open, margin pulled, spot DEX volume going up, and then a Binance and OKX announcement, that part looks kind of shady for all of these things happening in a very short amount of time. So the controversy is Hyperliquid looks bad for doing that, but honestly, they're kind of in like a lose-lose situation. And if you have to go between like having your liquidation vault completely liquidated on a move or delisting it and being called less than decentralized, I don't know. I think, and I'm pretty proud of crypto Twitter, because overall a lot of users seem to be looking at this as like, hey, this seems kind of screwy.
So thinking about it now, Jack, and I know we chatted a little bit before we went live, but thinking about it now, it kind of reminds me of, not to the same scale, but it kind of reminds me of how Luna was set up and rugged. And it was, so what's stopping someone from doing this again? It's a flaw in their design. So it's something we need to build forward with the idea of how do we safeguard against that kind of attack against a decentralized DEX.
And then, I think there's a story here in that, at least the way I see it, it looks like you just had some of the biggest actors in the space try to take out a competitor. Now, the crypto business is dirty. There's a lot of people, if you don't understand that, welcome to reality. Like, there's a lot of dirty pool that happens in this space. But, we've talked about this a lot in the past, and decentralized exchanges are the future. And right now, decentralized, exchange, perp dex trading is like 7% of the volume relative to the 93% that occurs on centralized exchanges. So the fact that, they're already kind of worried about it and trying to take out the one that has some heat at the moment, I think it says the whole story. Me personally, I cannot wait for the day for centralized exchanges to no longer be profitable. I think they need to be a relic anyway. And it's not just for stuff like this. It's for a host of reasons. For one, like, screw centralization. We're not Charles Schwab. We're
to be
not.
honest with you, I don't care if they exist, as long as there's viable options to viable alternative options in the market. That's really what it's about, is having options in the market. And this is an anti-competitive operation. It appears on its face to potentially be that. So, we don't like that. But I haven't used Binance since they screwed over U.S. customers anyway, like 6 years ago.
But
I just wanted to chime in with another one. I agree with what's going, like, with the takes here, is that, like, it seems like bigger players, like, picking on smaller players because decentralization, people are starting to finally realize that, like you said, you're proud of crypto Twitter, Jack. They're starting to kind of look at the details a little bit more behind what's really going on, versus like, they were just another DEX that messed up. They got into like why it happened. But this is breaking from this also is like relative to something else. Breaking, Crypto.com has announced that the SEC has agreed to close its investigation against the cryptocurrency exchange with no enforcement action taken. So we're seeing a lot of the SEC like dropping these like, just like with Kraken, like I went over a little bit earlier, they dropped their investigation into it. Now Crypto.com. So are we going to see, like, is there going to be like big news, new regulation coming out soon that we don't know about? about these big crypto exchanges and sexes? Like,
I could chime in.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, the crypto.com is partnering with the White House in order to launch some ETFs and things like that too. So that pairing with the SEC dropping its investigation is great because it just shows that the pursuit of freedom in the markets is good. And on top of that, with everything that was mentioned, with all the liquidations and the fraud and things like that, you can't sniff that stuff out in the traditional finance. Only in DeFi, only in crypto, only in blockchain can you detect these fraudulent activities, and you can see it throughout the entire timeline because it's all recorded, it's all there, and it's not hidden in like the guise of traditional finance where it takes years and years to find out what happened, and then if they destroyed the documentation, then no one ever finds out what happened. It's almost like how the Pentagon was missing trillions of dollars and 9/11 happened. Like with crypto, you're never going to have that type of circumstance. History is written on a ledger that is immutable and can be looked at by anyone at any time.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that, I mean, me personally, I want every dollar that the government spends tracked on a blockchain. I think that,
I just want to know how five nukes would look like being bought on the blockchain.
5 what? Could you repeat that? You were breaking out just a little bit there, Doc.
Yeah, I said I just want to know how 5 nukes would look like being bought on the blockchain. That's all.
Right? No, but seriously, like, what I am worried about, I'm worried about regulatory capture. Like, I know it's good that we're going to get some regulatory clarity, and I know for sure Peace would agree with me here. Like, the best case scenario is, people can go the TradFi route with their crypto stuff. Great. You want to do that? Fantastic. But the decentralized route should not be inhibited in any way, shape, or form.
At all.
And that's going to be the part that we're going to have to be vigilant about, is that I think as TradFi and DeFi start competing and people start getting used to this crypto stuff, I think that DeFi is going to win. And I think that that's in that process of winning and what appears to be victory, I think that's when you're going to start seeing a lot of regulatory capture. Even like the stablecoin bill being floated in the US, they're like, no yield bearing stablecoins. Like, we can't do that, and it's only got to be backed by treasury bonds or what have you, right? That kind of stuff, who does that benefit, right? So I worry about
banking establishment is who it benefits,
right? So I worry about that kind of stuff because this is the nature of the beast, and ultimately, we're only sitting here having this conversation today anyway because the genie is out the bottle. Once Bitcoin was unleashed, there's nothing you can do about it. Genie's out the bottle. Now it's going to be a matter of, like, we're still inevitable after all. And like we're sitting here talking about, Rosar made this amazing, infrastructure protocol for stacks. As long as Annan can get on a computer and bang out some code, we're always going to be able to have crypto. But I think that governments are going to be very tempted to try to continue to regulate it for the benefit of their buddies, essentially, right? Just like when you were going through the news, and I think it was Kazakhstan is like, yeah, we're gonna make crypto cool, but only if it takes place, like in our banking system,
right?
Like that's the stuff that we have to be vigilant about.
Yeah, and there's more and more and more. Not only just that, it's like, it's everywhere. Like, you've got crypto being adopted everywhere. Korea is in the news. Japan was in the news. Wisconsin's going to have their own stable. It's like it's all over the place.
Right.
Like,
States are. What are they going to do? They're going to regulate states. Like, that's the thing. And the whole thing, like, they have the constitutionally, the federal government has the power to print money. States used to actually print dollars as well, though. They used to have their own banks because they didn't want a centralized national bank, which the Federal Reserve has become de facto.
Right.
So it'll be very interesting to see.
Basically, for the states, they have to follow the same regulations that are set forth in the bill for any issuer.
Right.
And but who knows what the final bill will look like? But I don't know, man. Right, the regulatory capture part is bothersome. Like, on one sense, these exchanges and the games they play with market makers and stuff, they're on borrowed time in with regulatory certain environments, right? Like, there'll only be so many shenanigans you can get away with. I mean, how much did they get Binance for? Like $4 billion. That's what that huge sell-off was, starting in, like, what was it, January or so, when the market started to sell off real bad.
Right.
That was Binance and market makers that had to pay a huge fine. But, like, on one sense, you're like, okay, common sense, maybe you should have some regulations, this, that, and the other. But I just don't trust. I just don't trust that beast at all. And that's the part where it's like, if I want to use, if I want to buy crypto, if I want to sell crypto, look, if I have orange groves and I grow oranges, and I want someone to build a house and they'll take payment with the oranges, well, that should be cool. That should be nobody else's business. Like, we're dealing with very simple things here. Like, people should have the right to transact how they see fit. And I just don't want to see that getting infringed on. And I don't want to see that, like, infringing on what people can lawfully build.
So the complication, and I agree with you in principle, I do. The complication in your example of buying a house is that we rely on the state to maintain ownership record of property. And so, because the state is inherently involved in a real estate transaction, they dictate a lot as to how you can pay for a house and where the funds have to be sourced. There's all sorts of rules to make sure you're not laundering money by purchasing real estate and stuff like that. So it's already hyper regulated. So I don't think you're going to get it. We got to find an acceptable balance, because that's the best we're going to get.
Right. And I'm fine with the balance. I don't know. I get very worried that, there's going to be, look, finance is a game that is supposed to be dominated by a select few, and not everyone gets a shot, and most people don't get a fair shot. Right. And decentralization is the great equalizer. And so that's what I worry about. I worry that, as this gets bigger, there's going to be I guess the moral of the story is, as much as it pains me to say it, as we just have to be more politically involved, just in general, as citizens.
There's so much, and it's very disheartening when you do get there. Like, when on the local level, like, it depends on where. I've heard tell from where your area is, Jack, that it's similar to mine, where it's the logic and reason doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. It's all about what they've all agreed to pass to get their own pet stuff through, and it's literally that's how it is. And it doesn't matter whether what they're doing is going to actually cause, like economic problems, financial hardships, potentially put people in danger. Like, it doesn't matter. None of those things actually matter if it's already been determined that that's what they've all agreed to.
Right.
Like, so it's just a really, we have a mess. It's not transparent. That's what the problem.
Basically, we need to doge the political system.
Everything.
Doge everything. On a lighthearted note, are you guys gonna copy trade Nancy Pelosi when she gets into crypto?
I try to ignore the existence of Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah,
I feel like
that's
it's
a good rule to live
a
by.
trap. Like, I don't need to designate any of my attention to that, you know.
Sorry,
one of the things.
trapped.
Oh, sorry, Peace. Go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead. Ace.
Always.
I was just, a couple things that I need to take my daughter out to run around for a little while in a bit, but a couple things that have been rattling around in my head is, what does it mean for these states that don't create a strategic reserve for themselves? So you have those that have and those that have not. And then I'm wondering about like the state of Texas and, these like BlackRock, and I know there's, one or two or three others that are going in with them. I think there's 1, 2, or 3 new exchanges that are going to be opened up there. And I'm wondering, like, what is the angle that they're going after? And is there going to be a decentralized aspect to that? I know they're probably looking at crypto.
They don't want to have their financial things litigated in New York. They don't want to have to anything. They want to be able to fight the legal battles for whatever they set up to trade in Texas courts instead of New York courts. That's why they're doing all that stuff in Texas. To the first point was, I'm sorry, I forgot now. The first point,
just the states that actually adopt a strategic reserve.
Like, so what's going to happen to the ones that I think
that
the first thing you were saying, right? They're going to be in trouble. Probably they're going to have problems.
Does that mean that businesses there and housing market there is it going to be like a neighborhood within a city that all of a sudden goes to hell? Is a whole state going to suffer because they're left behind? Like the companies that don't adopt Bitcoin on their balance sheet, those companies
the Fed
don't get carried along. I don't know.
I think that it probably won't be allowed to get to that kind of drastic situation. Eventually, it'll be either everyone can or nobody can. But there's going to be some kind of socialization of it from a federal level to. I mean, if we do maintain a republic like we have now,
one of my most evergreen tweets was, I said any third world nation that adopts Bitcoin is going to rival first world nations in no time at all. And this was like back when El Salvador had just made Bitcoin their official currency. And so I feel very good about that prediction. And I think that that's going to apply to the individual states, just like in your scenario. If you have some, look, the reason why you have BlackRock going to Texas and you have all of these big companies pulling out of Delaware is because people are afraid of that super blue, idiocy that has been embraced by, a significant part of the Democrat Party that's anti-business and anti-everything, but, just absolute utter nonsense. And I think any state that doesn't do that, they're not going to thrive. They're going to have to compete for citizens. And I think people are going to go where people are doing things best. And I mean, look, Hyundai just recently said they were going to open up a plant in Louisiana, a whole manufacturing facility, a $1.5 billion manufacturing facility that's going to employ 1,500 people. Well, why did they do that? Probably because of tax rates, probably because of a pro-business environment. So it's the same thing. It's going to be like that with Bitcoin. The states that are forward thinking with Bitcoin will probably be better off long term.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. The ones that adopt it early will definitely have an advantage, without a doubt. But I don't think it'll be allowed to. I don't think the federal government will allow those that don't will still be like my state's not going to. Sheldon Whitehouse and Jack Reed and this it's Democrat hardcore. Gina Raimondo, like that all. My state is so the guy who actually orchestrated the Jekyll Island meeting was Nathaniel. I can't remember his last name now. It's not Archibald, but something like that. And he was from Rhode Island. He was a senator from Rhode Island. We're in the thick of it, and we have been forever. Like it's just they're not gonna let us get Bitcoin in any meaningful way until it's too late, and that's gonna happen. But they'll be taken care of by the Democrat DNC establishment, no matter what, in one way or another. They're not going away.
What about the Carolinas? Do you think the Carolinas, because we're at we're like the belt buckle of the Bible Belt, and we're the last to adopt anything. What do you think? Do you think we're the last to get our own strategic reserve?
You got to start talking to your local representatives about it.
I mean, I voted, so I mean, I guess I gotta get a little bit more into it. There's two things that I don't like to talk about, man. It's like religion and politics. I like to let if that conversation gets started, but it looks like I'm gonna have to get more involved in like.
That's all right. We can talk about it right now.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Doc.
We can dive. In.
I have to jump because I have to go take care of a puppy before it's time for bed. But I'm very interested in the idea of governance and how we organize society. And it's the ideas that are important. The politics of which side are you on, that's a losing argument because 300 million people in a country, there's two sides to pick from. Like there's two cookie cutter ideals that cover the whole spectrum of what's in everyone's best.
Right. It just makes
it's ridiculous on its
sense.
Face. So that's the problem with the political, like from taking it from a political standpoint is a losing argument. It's about the ideas 100%. And what we're going to do and what's in our interest. And then negotiating from there when we have conflicts of interest, personal interests. And that's really how it should,
Truthfully, if you asked if I was red or blue, I'd probably tell you I was purple.
How'd South Park do it on that episode? It was a turd sandwich, and what was the other choice? It was like a douchebag or something.
Yeah. I don't remember what it was, but it was like stew. Was it shit stew or a turd sandwich? I don't remember. But yeah, it was. That's exactly like. Right. We've already lost when we've let it devolve to that. Like, and the only way it gets there is actually when the majority of people hold told opinions so that they can be easily pushed to one of these two silos. It's not really real. This is inflicted upon us through the media, control of the media, control of education.
We are like the laughing stock of the nation when it comes to, the world when it comes to politics.
Well, we have there's a lot of, we just argue about stuff that's largely irrelevant and that there's not really a whole lot of difference between a lot of it's just superficial and they never even address those items so that they can keep just arguing back and forth over them. It's messy. It's messy.
And they're arguing why stuff like this is going on. Like, so from Elon Musk, there are over 300 million of SBA loans that's been given out to people under the age of 11. The youngest recipient.
I heard that.
Loan is 9-month-old.
That's a whole. That's a whole industry. Like, you get people that take out LLCs and just get crazy. Never open the actual business. Never have anything. And it's just like when people got all those loans during COVID. People didn't even own business.
Oh, yeah,
like,
the PPP. Yeah.
Well, you know what? I was a dumb one. I took one of the EIDL loans, so I'm still paying on that. and I will pay on it until I pay it off, and I needed to. Unfortunately, my business, like my industry, kind of tanked. So I have this. I'm not generating the revenue that I should have from the marketing that I put those dollars into, but I didn't take any PPP loans because I didn't have any employees. But if I was smart, I would have hired my wife and I would have hired my kids and taken out loans, and that would have been forgiven.
Yeah,
I just didn't do that.
That's how, man. That level of scammery is alive and well. Like people, the fraud that takes place in this country, even in the things that I know well, like healthcare, will blow your mind. You know, like you'll have,
God, yeah, I know.
You'll have people that'll open up like, hospice services and never actually treat a patient and be billing Medicare and getting all of this money, declaring bankruptcy, and then turning around in a different part of town and opening up a new one. Like just and that's just like the overt fraud. You're not even getting to the covert fraud.
Right.
And,
transit services.
Right. And then like, yeah, dude, people like just cashing in on their parents and grandparents like Social Security checks, under like really dubious, scummy circumstances. Like, dude, it's a mess. But it's a lot of transparency would help. And I mean, the thing is, like, our issue is not unique. You had Greek philosophers talking about how hard it is for democracy to work because not everyone is actually good at democracy. They're not, they I think it was Socrates. I might be saying the wrong one, but I think it was Socrates, like basically likened it to if you take everybody in a country and put them on a boat and say, here, go from here to there, they're not going to be able to do it because they're not all sailors.
The flaw right now is that there's no opt-out mechanism.
Right.
Like you're beholden to the outcome of a vote that might be detrimental. The outcome could be very detrimental to you, and you're stuck there. You're stuck with the outcome of it. But even if you choose not to engage in the vote, you're stuck with the outcome of it. So there's no way to actually like keep it honest. Everyone has to participate, or even if they don't, it doesn't matter.
Fortunately, we can opt out with our money.
About something?
Go ahead.
I have the right to not vote, and I haven't voted once since I've turned 18.
You have a right to not vote, but you try telling people to abstain as a show of mass dissension, mass abstention from the vote as a form of delegitimizing the system. Well, they'll ratio you on social media for discouraging people from voting.
Yeah.
So it's like one of those things that is like, it's not a win. Yes, you can.
I don't
talk about it.
Vote.
You don't have free speech as far as talking about whether people should vote or not.
Right. Well, I'm not going to tell people not to vote. I'm just not going to vote unless there's something worthy of my vote.
Well, that's the same principle. But if you extrapolate that to the next step, if the overwhelming majority of us were so fed up with the process that we just didn't vote, then the electoral system becomes illegitimate by fact. We aren't recognizing it as worthy of participation. So it becomes necessary for us to reorganize in another way or figure out how to better organize.
Right.
But
I definitely see what you're saying.
You can opt out of voting, but you can't opt out of the system in which you are beholden to the outcome of the vote.
I think I heard Schiffler for a moment.
Yeah, but I'll be quiet, and I'm actually gonna go take care of a puppy anyway. So y'all have a blessed night. But I can talk about this all night.
Thank you for coming on and like shooting the shit with me, man, and like just talking, like getting into these problems and like talking out loud is what kind of like inspires others to think more deeply about it. So
I think having these conversations is important. I think we're doing good work here, and I think you do an excellent job with this show, and I don't like missing it because I don't have time to catch up on it tomorrow. When I don't get on, I always hear how awesome of a show it was, so I have to be there. But we're having, these are important conversations to have. It's really important to do this. And I'll stop. I want to sign off, but y'all have a blessed night. And I'm sorry, Shift, for not letting you get a word in. I know you have stuff to say.
Oh, you're
Real
just fine.
quick though, Peace,
Have a good
before
night,
you
man.
go, I love picking your brain, man, and thanks for allowing me to do that.
Right on, man. We'll have to keep doing this.
Hell yeah, dude.
Hell
Thank,
yeah.
thank you, Steve. Have a blessed night. And tell Buddy I said hey.
Will do, man.
you,
Uncle
Peace.
PT, have a great sleepover.
Thank you, dude. Thank you. I'm super excited. Like, I'm gonna wrap this here in a few minutes, and I'm gonna get to kick it with my nephew tonight. So, yeah, dude. There's things that we have control. Some things are out of our control, but I agree that we all are empowering ourselves through blockchain technology, in a decentralized, permissionless environment in stacks, where we don't have to listen to somebody telling you, hey, you have to do this. You can find your own lane and figure out where you fit in and just get to work and empower others around you. So that's why I think the work that we're doing here in DeOrganized is important. Shiflet, I know that you were trying to chime in earlier, brother. Did you have something to add to the conversation we were having a little bit ago?
Actually, two parts, because I got rugged by a phone call because y'all were talking about TradFi a little bit, and I'll roll back to it. But Bitcoin allows us to opt out of the system financially. So if you're frustrated with how money printing extracts value from those who hold the currency, guess what? You can buy Bitcoin, and Bitcoin can't be printed.
Facts, dude.
You're able to store your value in something that's absolutely scarce.
Buying Bitcoin is the most peaceful act of protest that you can engage in.
Exactly, and that's your speech too. Because if somebody can control your money, then they can control your speech. Because if your speech is reliant on you making money, then that's a way of silencing opposition. Especially if my girls are following me around as I'm talking to y'all.
That's okay.
And then another part, I'm glad that TradFi is getting into the crypto market because I have an HSA through my employer, and it allows me to put money away pre-taxed for medical expenses. But there's a option with HSA to where you can invest those dollars, and there's different accounts by which you can select individual stocks. So if you wanted to buy MicroStrategy, if you wanted to buy the Bitcoin ETF, if you wanted to buy Fold, to just get exposure to those potential asymmetric trades that exist in TradFi. That's where TradFi is necessary, and and I wouldn't say necessary, but very useful, because as we have these different vehicles, whether it's an HSA or it's an IRA, whether it's traditional or Roth IRA, whether it's 401ks aren't doing it yet, but you can do a once a year rollover from a 401k into an IRA if you want to. Like these different retirement vehicles that require specific custodians in order for you to have the tax benefits. And as long as they have to have a QSIP in the stock exchange, these types of traditional finance vehicles are really useful for the people who have the crypto Bitcoin appetite as far as risk and returns, and also the time horizon to retirement, as well as just utilizing the vehicles that are available through an employer or just your regular stock portfolio.
Damn, Skippy, yeah, there's IRAs. I know that there's these different systems. You ever heard of I Trust Capital?
Yep, yeah, they're fantastic. Swan Bitcoin has a really good IRA product for Bitcoin only investing. A success story. I left my employer previous to my current one back in 2022, and I rolled over my old 401k from that old employer into a Bitcoin IRA when Bitcoin was around was around 21,000 or so.
Wow! So
it's like that IRA performed so much better than any 401k could have possibly done, just because it was in Bitcoin and was able to write it up. So it's awesome when you can fuse traditional finance and the space that we're in together.
That's
huge, dude. Yeah, congrats on that one. That's a damn good one. I know that did you some justice. So yeah, congrats on that one, man. And
Thanks,
you're
man.
right. It gives people that are hardworking people, actually fiat mining, as you like to call it. a chance to like opt out of the system, but still kind of like participate in traditional rails, you know. So like I like that. So yeah, big congrats on that one. You know, that's something that I've been kind of talking to like my parents about a little bit. And, you know, like, hey, there's these different rails and different options for you to experiment and explore and get you know, exposure to Bitcoin through with your 401ks. You know, so,
Bitcoin's probably going to save a lot of people's pensions before it's all said and done.
yeah, dude.
Exactly.
People are not going to be able to get paid out their you know, Social Security is what I'm seeing is like I've heard that a couple of different times from a few different people that like,
Yeah,
all of these people that are at retirement age, and like they're gonna have to print a lot of money to pay these people for their Social Security, you know. So
yeah, I heard basically by the time we're old enough to get Social Security, man, we won't be seeing it.
Well, I mean, part of that they're uncovering why, and is that it's just been such widespread fraud in the system.
Yeah.
You know, and just basically wholesale theft. You know, but I think that's one of the reasons why they like. There's a lot of smart people, you know, in this administration, and I think that's one of the catalysts that that they're kind of counting on Bitcoin being able to save, you know, some straight up like pension funds that otherwise would be in a lot of trouble.
Well, it gets go ahead.
No, I was going to ask you your thoughts because you said you had a couple things you wanted to talk about. So I want to see what else you had.
Well, I mean, it gets the money out of the hands of the people that control everything. Jack, you mentioned centralized control of the money. It's because that's by design. Right. The people who are closest to the money printer are able to benefit most from it because they hold assets, and assets don't get more valuable against the dollar. The dollar just gets weaker against the asset. And then the people who hold the dollars and save in the dollars, they get poorer. So that's the wealth gap. Like the wealth gap is no mysterious thing. It's because there's people who hold assets and there's people who hold the currency. And I love bringing up the fact that the 1928 gold certificate, the $20 bill, you could turn that in for an ounce of gold. Right. And then they took that right away back in 1933 from the individual, and then magically the gold price went up. It's not because the gold got more valuable. It's because the money printing that was occurring was starting to hit the price of gold. And then it even got more exacerbated when they took away the institution or the nation state ability to redeem their dollars for gold in 1971. And here we are today with a $3,000 an ounce gold against the dollar. It's not because the gold got more valuable. It's because the dollar got weaker to the point where something that used to cost $20 now costs $3,000.
Yeah.
So tell me again how Bitcoin is a scam.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Dude, it's not because gold got more scarce. It's because the dollars got more abundant. You know, it's simple. It's very simple.
Exactly.
The funniest thing ever is I was talking about Bitcoin or something in a post on X. You know, and this had to be like a year or two ago, and I had a reply guy say, "Have fun with your Monopoly money," and I'm like, "Motherfucker, Monopoly money? Do you have any idea how your money works?"
Yeah. Let's talk about fiat for a minute.
Monopoly money. What do you think? What do you think those dollars in your wallet are, Jack?
Those trolls on X, dude, they have no idea from up to down, from ass and a hole in the ground. So, like, don't even pay attention to them, Jack. That's one of those things. Guys, we're around that hour mark, so I did want to, like, get a round around the room for like one more last say you know vibes that you want to put out there, any last thoughts that you want to add to the conversation. I'm gonna go kick it with my nephew and make some tacos, and you know, maybe we'll put on some Dragon Ball Z or something, but let's go around the room one time and you know, let's get some last thoughts. You know, Doc, I'll shoot to you first, brothers.
Well, then I'm gonna hit it with a shameless plug because I never really do that. Make sure keep your eye out for Boom. DJ and Girl Volume 1's coming soon. And then, yeah, thanks for having me kick it. I love you guys.
Love you too, dude. Listen, Doc has become like my protege. I have trained him in the ways of the GPSC in the Gigaverse. He is
Been in the Gigaverse dojo.
He has been in the Gigaverse dojo putting in work. So you guys get ready for Boom to launch, and keep your eyes out for DJ Girl Volume 1 coming to you very, very soon. Thank you, Doc. Jack, I'll go to you next, brother.
Yeah. Again, congratulations, Rosar. Absolute, just victory today. Couldn't be more proud of not just his accomplishment, but, very, very proud of all of the hard work that went on behind the scenes from Stacks to make that happen. And yeah, like I'm bullish on us, guys. Like this is cool. This is where it's at.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Just getting to talk to you guys, like get the base takes, kind of pick your brain, and like have an authentic conversation about what's going on in the world, and really get to see how we interact, and even if there's new alpha, or if there's not a new alpha, or a demo from the devs to put out there, we're vibing and we're talking about relevant topics. So I do agree. Thank you.
And by the way, I am like just a little jealous of you getting to have that boys' night with the nephew, like, because my sons are all grown now. So like, yeah, that's fun, man. You're gonna have a good time. Yeah.
Thank you, Jack, dude. Like, I definitely look forward to it, man. And I don't mean to make you jealous, man, but I'm just so damn excited. Thank you, brother. So I will go to you next, Ace. Ace, are you with us?
Yeah, I'm here. Jack took mine, but I'm going to echo again. Congratulations to Rosar. We should be so lucky to have him in the space, and he's just a monster builder, and really happy that he's getting his due, and that we're all going to benefit from it in the Stacks ecosystem. I'm probably most looking forward to helping others bring assets into the ecosystem and help grow everybody's pie. I've got some ideas and some folks that need to have conversations with, but that's what I'm excited about is Stacks and Bitcoin adoption, and seeing it all grow, and the decentralization continuing to tether out. So thanks for having me, and hope everybody has a great night.
Awesome, Ace. Like, you are like one of the biggest chads in the ecosystem, so supportive of all the different projects in the Stacks ecosystem. I'm really proud to call you a friend, brother, and I appreciate your support as always, man. Thank you for coming through, and I do agree that maybe include me in that conversation. I would love to talk to you about like maybe those ideas that we had beforehand, and we'll get it hammered out and figure out what we could do, unless you had something else in mind, and I'm just thinking about something completely different. But I hope
no. I think that's been discussed. But I also have a project that I'd like to do at some point. Involves music and art. So that's not even in the front of my mind at the moment. But I'll throw that out there. But hopefully I can contribute something in the future. But I'm just excited to help grow and build the community, and hopefully we can all grow decentralization and
minting leaders.
That's what I'm talking about.
Minting leaders.
This is happening. You're I was the right place right now, Ace, because you've got two artists from the Galactic Art Collective. Also, Hana is in the Galactic Art Collective, a local source of talent in the ecosystem. So for your project, if you need help, dude, you need to learn. Like if you need like help launching it, anything like that, dude, my DMs are always open to you, brother.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the last thing that I'll say, because I'm truly curious, and it's kind of an outward ponderance I had with one of my friends that I onboarded to Stacks, was I'm wondering, like, for a lot of people, and I'm thinking about my mom and my dad, and like, what is going to be, who have very fierce resistance to the idea of, the digital, and my stepdad says it's I like to hold my money kind of thing, and I'm just wondering, what is it going to be that will actually at some point, what is that shoe that's going to drop where all of a sudden his mind is going to change? And I'm just wondering, I'm so curious what it's going to be that all of a sudden it clicks for them, because they'll be one of the last late adopters. And I'm just so curious to see in if it's just super trivial, or if it's one of the last meaningful things that happens before the largest green candle goes to the sky. I don't know, but for a lot of, I put them in the place of the latest of adopters, and I just hope for people like them that they find other folks first and are able to take advantage of the opportunity that they'll never ever see again. So those are things I'm thinking about, is just how can we help more people understand and participate and find that power and community and be able to just have more of everything and enjoy life.
You know what I think it's going to be? I think that the majority of people like that's going to be the TradFi customers. I think it's going to be a matter of seeing commercials on TV. I think it's going to be a matter of, seeing new offerings at their bank and things like that, and just trying to get them in there before.
Yeah, my friend forced me into giving him an answer, and I said, if I had to pick anything, it'll probably be, and it kind of plays into your answer of TradFi, it's going to be probably their broker that manages their portfolio, that calls them, that they're one of the brokers that hasn't really put their hat in the ring as far as being involved in crypto. So I think if they hear it from that person, maybe will turn them. But yeah, you're probably right, Jack.
It's right around the corner, guys, and I love the way that you're thinking, Ace. Like empowering that one part of the ecosystem that isn't tapped into yet is that group of people. And I love how you're always thinking of others, as always, man. I love the energy you bring to the conversation. Thank you, Ace. Shiflett.
Yeah, I mean Hermetica. We got. Sorry, we got to introduce more people to Hermetica.
Facts. Big fact.
Have a great night.
You too, brother. Shiflett, I will go to you last, brother, but very, very much so, not the least. Any final vibes to close this out? Any final thoughts to add to the conversation, brother?
Yeah. So Ace, to address what you said with the brokers, unfortunately, the brokers like to be risk averse as people get older and closer to retirement, and unfortunately, Bitcoin is still viewed as a risk on asset. So it's up to people's individual risk in order to want to jump in on their own, and they may have to say, hey, broker, I know you want me to be in bonds and things like that right now, but I really want to try this Bitcoin thing because it's been outperforming every other asset ever since it was founded in 2009. I view it as a youth thing. So like my kids are growing up with Bitcoin. They've all done their own Lightning transactions. Like I'll tell them to point the phone at a QR code, and they'll do a transfer, and then they'll get either a little hodler or whatever they wanted to buy at a conference. But no, like right now it's the time to be bullish. We have a lot of things to be bullish about. Solana was $1 in 2020, and then it went to over $200 in 2021, and Stacks is under $1 at the moment. And Stacks has so many more fundamentals, in my opinion, than Solana does. You stack the token, and you get Bitcoin on the other side instead of stacking stacks and getting more stacks. You know what I mean? So you're locking up an altcoin, and you're getting the most valuable asset on the face of the earth as a yield. And then Grayscale, they did their private placement back in May of 2024. And historically, they've been doing a year time frame for private placement before they do public quotation. So hopefully in May, you'll be able to start holding the Grayscale Stacks Trust in your various trading accounts, whether they're IRAs or brokerage or whatnot. So that's going to introduce a whole bunch of liquidity potentially to Stacks, because people will be able to buy that trust, and then the trust will buy the stacks from the open market. So that'll be a whole nother demand avenue. But whatever's going on in the short term, just enjoy the low stacks prices, because just like Bitcoin, stacks has a halving schedule that takes it out to 2050 as opposed to Bitcoin's 2140. So to where not until 2050 will all stacks be fully circulating. So stacks is scarce. Whatever you're buying now is stuff that will probably be more expensive later on as more dollars chase fewer stacks that are available on the market. But with all that, we're all building, we're all enjoying it. The price action may not be too exciting at the moment, but it's not going to stay that way forever. So keep doing your thing, guys. We're early. You better believe it.
Big facts. Thank you, Shiflet. Fellas, I couldn't agree more with all the takes, especially with that last one. In stacks, we have a more programmable Bitcoin because of stacks in the decentralized permissionless environment. That is huge. Like, it's bigger than all of us know, so I agree. Stacks is scarce. It is one of those things that you want to get ahead of the curve with, like Jack would say. Thank you, guys. I hope that you have a very blessed rest of your night. And I'm looking forward to another awesome episode of DeOrganized Nightly tomorrow. Where we will get, a different cast every night. So, if I don't see you guys tomorrow, I hope you have a blessed rest of your week. Let's finish strong, guys. Have a blessed night, guys.
Later, man. Y'all have a
Good night. Take care.
And this has been another awesome episode of DeOrganized Nightly, where we get your favorite Giga Brain Astronaut Scholars into the same room, talk about what's going on in the crypto and TradFi realm, and just kick out some high frequency vibes and bring you the latest alpha and what's going on. I am GP with DeOrganized Media. You can tune in every night, Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. ET for the DeOrganized Nightly segment, and tune in at 8:30 a.m. ET every morning for the Let's Go morning show. Let's go. Have a great night, guys. I'll see you again tomorrow. Peace.
Yeah.